This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
Welcome to The Vibe, and thank you for joining us on this Qingming Festival special. I'm Julian Wacken.
And hello everyone, I'm Louisa Lee.
Well, that painting that we just saw right there was the famous hand scroll along the river during Qingming Festival by Song Dynasty artist Zhang Zeduan. It's often referred to as the Chinese Mona Lisa because, like Mona Lisa's enigmatic smile, every time you look at it, there's something new, something different.
And if you observe closely, Julian, at the painting, you can almost feel the festive spirit of the street scene set in Beijing, the then capital of China.
It does show the grand celebration of Qingming Festival in ancient China, Louisa.
Yes, and this is a tradition that has been ongoing for more than 2,500 years. And here on The Vibe today, we have selected some folk poems to go along with it.
And this one is my favorite. 梨花风起正清明，游子寻春半出城。日暮笙歌收时去，万株杨柳数流莺。
Wow, that was beautiful, Julian, beautifully read. And here's my translation for it. When the spring wind blows and when the pear flowers blossom, that's when we know Qingming Festival is here. People tread the greens to embrace the coming of spring. The music fades concurrently with the sunset, and as the crowd slowly disperse, the disturbed oriole birds return to the willows for peace and serenity.
Oh, I love your modern and romantic translation, Louisa.
So, Julian, if I was to insert this poem into our modern world, imagine this, okay? Imagine a group of people gathering for a big party with unlimited food and drinks to celebrate the occasion. And picture this, as the lights start to dim and the bands stop playing the music, the free flow ends, people begin to depart after a night of fun, and when they get home, they go to bed with smiles on their faces and a sense of happiness in their hearts.
Oh, I can just imagine the smile on your face, Louisa, but I hope the ancestors aren't turning their graves, though. Louisa has this gift of making every holiday into a Mardi Gras. But you're right about something, though, Louisa. This is a day of celebration and partying to some extent. In fact, along with the Lantern Festival, the Qingming Festival is one of the few occasions in ancient China when people, especially women, were allowed out of the house to enjoy the green, the spring scenery, and to mingle with people.
I know it was also a day for people to willow plant and also flower gaze as well.
Exactly. I see lots of food and food vendors in the painting.
Really?
Just kidding. But in all honesty, though, food and games were a big part of the festival celebration. People would play shuttlecock and cuju, which is the earliest form of football.
See, it does sound a bit like Mardi Gras, doesn't it?
Well, just wait. The night is young, or I should say, the day is bright and clear. Next, we're going to head to the botanical gardens and the streets of Beijing to check out what's happening on Qingming Festival today.
Clear and bright is not only a solar term, but also an annual festival. Qingming, or Tomb Sweeping Day, has been celebrated in China for centuries. The day is meant to commemorate and venerate one's ancestors.
Spring is here as trees turn green, flowers blossom, and sun shines brightly. Everything returns to life. It is a fine time to enjoy the beauty of nature.
This is one of the many classic ways of Chinese people to celebrate the Qingming Festival.
我的心情就是像桃花一样的那种灿烂。我不由得想起一句古诗：“人间四月芳菲尽，山寺桃花始盛开。”
In the classic of poetry, China's oldest collection of poems and songs, a verse called Peach Blossom Beam describes a young lady getting married. It goes, 桃之夭夭，灼灼其华，之子于归，亦其世家。桃之夭夭，有逢其时，之子于归，亦其家事。桃之夭夭，其叶铮铮，之子于归，亦其家人。
Chinese culture is rich with flower symbolism, permeating in artistic expression. The peach blossom is not only prevalent in classical Chinese poetry, but also often depicted in traditional Chinese paintings. Ancient artists often invoked peach blossoms as a sign of spring in their paintings, celebrating the vitality they possess.
It is a clear sign of the spring when these little green glutinous rice dumplings appear in the food stores. They're very precious because the availability window is usually very short. It's just a few weeks in April.
师傅你好，
你好
您忙活着呢。
啊，
这都是我们要做青团的食材是吗？
对。
哦，那这是豆沙吧？
豆沙那是。
这个是什么呀？
那是猪大油。
猪油。
对。
哦，那刚才您倒进去的这个就是
艾草汁儿。
艾草汁儿哈。这里面这是
糯米粉。
糯米粉，哎，那我来帮您吧。我来帮您一起。这需要搅和这个糯米粉儿。
对。
这好香啊！抓点猪油，哦，要这么多呢。
蒸出来它亮，发光。
发光哦，是为了
亮，
好看。
好看。
感觉是个力气活，颜色也是很漂亮。这个做的过程当中就有一股芳香了，挺好的吧 ？OK， 就把它包进来是吗？
包进去。50克左右。
50克，那我这个怎么样？翻过来。
可以收。
They're so pretty, soft and delicate. I grew up eating qingtuan and I always loved the unique aroma of these green sticky rice dough. My love for the filling, which is traditionally the red bean paste. It's a very mellow taste and very special flavor.
It is hard to resist the temptation of eating qingtuan and going for a walk around the Qingming Festival. Caroline Wu, CGTN, Beijing.
Images may appear to be identical, but looks can be deceiving. The difference is not always obvious. It has to be discovered. There are always different sides to a story. We put the focus on the details. To see more, to understand better. CGTN. See the difference.
Welcome back to The Vibe. And Julian, here's the next poem for our audience. 春眠不觉晓，处处闻啼鸟。夜来风雨声，花落知多少。
Bravo, bravo. Another poem about Qingming. You know, I had to memorize this poem when I was 3 years old, and it's everything about my childhood. It was kind of like I was a heavy sleeper and I would have no idea if it rained outside, which it often did on Qingming Festival. And if the birds were not singing, it wasn't time to wake up because the poem says so, right?
Absolutely, and I'm impressed that you can actually recite that poem at the age of 3. You're a wise kid.
Every child did in China
Really?
back then.
Well, it's a very popular poem indeed, and here's my translation for it. The spring night is sweet and sound. Not even the beam of the sun can awaken us. When we rise from our sleep, the sounds of birds chirping surround us. The storm of last night was filled with gusty wind and pouring rain. We ponder how many flowers have been knocked down and left astray.
I am just blown away by that translation. With that translation, I'm seeing Ang Lee's film right before my eyes. You know, the time that is a painter, Zheng Xue must have shared your outlook on the Qingming Festival when he painted his famous girl, Lady Guo, on a spring outing. Spring Outing Festival actually is another name for the solar term Qingming, which means clear and bright.
You can take me out for a day of fun, Julian, and it's clear and bright for me every day.
That's why you're so smartly dressed, Louisa. You can see the people in the painting are all dressed in very bright colors. It's their first opportunity to enjoy the beautiful outdoors after a long winter.
I couldn't agree more. Back when we didn't have technology for entertainment, it must have been nice to ride on the horses and just talk to people while parading around town. Sometimes I miss that, to have a deep and meaningful conversation without the distraction of anything else.
Well, in my house, the only thing that brings people together for a deep conversation is food. Well, this morning I saw somebody posting pictures of picnics on Instagram, and there's one item that is the staple of Qingming Festival. It's called Qingtuan, or the grain glutinous rice balls, and my favorite one is the salty egg yolk one. It's so yummy, Lisa.
I'm with you on that one. We have them in the studio here, both savory and sweet ones.
Courtesy of Louisa.
Yeah, looks good, right? And Julian, what do you think of the new ones out on the market? All pink and filled with strawberries and cream. I guess sometimes you need to keep them interesting to preserve the centuries-old tradition.
Well, I say that to my parents all the time about their marriage.
I hope they're watching it right now.
And other foods during Qingming Festival include peach blossom porridge, actually, crispy cakes, Qingming snails, and eggs.
I haven't tried those ones yet, but after you, Julian.
Well, I like escargot, right? But there is something else that I used to do on Qingming Festival. My grandpa and I would actually make kites weeks before Qingming Festival and fly them on Qingming Festival. And I thought that I was the expert, right? But just as I learned today that people actually fly kites both during the day and in the evening. The difference being that at night, lanterns are tied to the end of the kite. How cool is that, Louisa?
That is so romantic. Just imagine light skies floating around in the night sky, right?
Well, let's find out how to make one first.
Colorful kites in the sky are a traditional sight during China's Qingming Festival. Luo Huanwen, a kite-making craftsman in Beijing, tells the meaning behind the tradition of flying kites on this special day.
Of course, good weather and wind are an important reason, but there's more. In the past, people would cut the thread and let the kite float away. It's seen as letting go of bad luck.
Luo has been making kites for over 40 years. He's made hundreds of delicate kites in different sizes, shapes, and patterns. Luo says making a kite from scratch by hand is no easy task, and paints the pattern on a fabric and then paste it onto the frame. This is how you paint a kite. Basically, you lay the paint on evenly and make sure there is no interspace left out. And such painting needs to be done at least 3 times. Although kites can be mass-produced by machines, Luo says the hand-making skill and craft is of high value.
Kites are intangible cultural heritage of China and have a history of more than 2,000 years. There's something our ancestors gave us. We should pass the craft on.
He now has several apprentices, and his granddaughter is also learning the skill, carrying the cultural baton to a new generation.
You know what, Louisa? Kites on a string and the sound of flying kites remind me of an instrument that was also very much enjoyed on Qingming Festival.
You must be talking about the traditional instrument guqin, right?
You got it right.
Well, we have a talented guqin player, Doran, standing by in his studio, bringing us the vibes of Qingming in ancient China. That is so peaceful.
Mesmerized.
Yeah, after hearing that, I wish I had learned guqin.
Well, I'm sure there's something you're good at, right?
Well, I do have some talents, I think. Well, take a guess, Julian.
How about Tuji,
What is that?
ancient football?
Oh, that. I'm far from being good at that. Why couldn't you say something easier?
Well, Louisa, FIFA actually recognized that football first originated in China, and Tuji was a sport that was played by the emperor, the aristocrats, and the soldiers as a form of entertainment and training. Now, take a look at this painting by Northern Song Dynasty artist Su Hanquan of people playing football more than 1,000 years ago.
Wow, that's incredible. Did women play chuju as well, or were they just cheerleaders during the games?
That's a great question, Louisa. Think of Mulan, right? There were actually some very skilled female footballers in Tang Dynasty courts. It was only because of the custom of foot binding that developed after the 5 dynasties that women's football unfortunately disappeared.
That's so interesting, and what I find also interesting is that they were wearing traditional clothing. Look at that. It must have been a challenge on its own not to trip over the ropes while kicking the balls. I sure hope they came out with more functional clothing later on.
Well, I think the boundary between sports and dance wasn't so clear back then. I'm sure hydration was key though, playing those ropes. What do you think was people's favorite drink, Luisa?
I mean, from the painting, it looks like they had some Chinese white wine, but I'll go with tea.
That's right. Tea, it was tea, but especially green tea, because Qingming Festival produces some of the finest green tea, especially after the first rainfall. The leaves have just sprouted and are extremely tender and sweet. Just imagine.
Oh, that's why the dragon wild tea harvested on Qingming is so coveted. Oh, I get it now.
That's right. It's all about seasonality. I actually went to visit a food photographer, Ma Ye, who actually uses seasonal fruits and veggies to recreate the scenes of the 24 solar terms. It was incredible.
Wait, did I hear food? Did you say food? You have my attention, Julie. Well, enlighten us with some edible props.
Here we go. The ancients divided the sun's circular motion into 12 parts and came up with the 12 horoscopes. The Chinese went even further and divided the ecliptic into 24 parts and came up with the 24 solar terms. And they've been passed down from generation to generation to help with agriculture production, daily routines from where we lived, how we dressed, how we traveled, and also what we ate. Cinnamon roll. And today we're going to visit a food photographer who's known for using local and seasonal ingredients to recreate poignant images of the 24 solar terms. Check this out. Look at this place. This is the set for the solar term rainwater. And you must be the photographer, Ma Ye. Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
This is amazing. How did you come up with this idea of representing the 24 solar terms with food?
其实呢，24节气拍它，比如说我们现代人，24节气都吃什么呀，喝什么呀？24节气有什么样的习俗啊？你看啊，这个场景里面，除了前面和后面这张纸之外，其他的呢都是食材，都是可以吃的。
真的？
啊，对。你看，比如说前面这个，是啥？
生菜。
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 后面这个呢，其实模仿的是房子，啊，底下的这个墙呢是南瓜，啊，上面那个是什么？
桂皮。对，
桂皮。我们这个拍的是雨水，所以还从上面要下雨。然后这样吧，一会儿你帮我下雨。
真的？
我在这儿拍。啊。
Wow, I'm gonna do rainwater. Let's give it a try.
啊，这边。
Okay. The solar term rainwater falls on February the 19th this year, and it's a time when the wild geese fly back to the north. Now, you don't see them here because they're still flying back to the north. But this is also a great time for sowing because the moist and the warm areas bring lots of rainwater for the plants that have been thirsting for water all winter.
OK， 咱看一下，
咱
看一下，拿着，哎呀，
哇，
不错呀，不错
I'm so proud of myself, yay! Spring equinox, the midpoint of spring, when the length of day equals that of night. The spring equinox. How did you come up with this tableau of the spring equinox?
你看这里面的这个场景里面的食材啊，这就是春天的那个花。这个花呢，主干是蒜苔，上面的这些花瓣是 mini 的那种洋葱。
真的？
啊，这个是青萝卜。这个呢是西芹，上面落的这个鸟是玄鸟。啊，
是什么做的？
茄子
啊，茄子，完全没有想到。As you can see, one of the migrating birds perched on this line here has already returned from the south. And the only visible divide between day and night, between the earth and the sky, is the hazy morning fog. Dry eyes. This is a winter wonderland. Oh my goodness. The major snow is marked by an abundance of snow, and animals have already started to hibernate. And the only thing that you can make out are these snow-covered slopes and what looks like a house in the distance made of angelica root. This major snow solar term. Animals need to pack on as much energy as possible, and we also need to eat food that's very, very nutritious. And these snowflakes, or coconut flakes, won't do just the job. Wow! Wow!
怎样用年轻人喜欢的方式去传递中国文化，是我一直在坚持和探索的课题。我认为中国传统的美不是表面的图案和花纹，更多要从文化中扎根，从历史中挖掘，用年轻的、多元的、新潮的艺术形态去表现中国传统美的超时空演绎。
那遇见中国美24节气呢，是我们时社马野团队用食物美学来传递中国美学文化的一个课题之一。那在接下来呢，也会去拍摄72后，那这个呢也是时社马野的使命，叫让中国美学引领世界。
Julie, I must say, you look like you had too much fun.
Those coconut flakes were so good. Well, there's another solar term actually that we didn't talk about yet. It's called Insect Awakens that just passed.
Oh, that doesn't sound too appetizing.
Well, exactly, because it comes with rising temperatures and more rainfall and insect-associated diseases. But fortunately, though, there's something that you can do about that.
I know. Spray our entire body with bug spray from head to toe.
Think ladylike, Louisa. How about aromatic herbs and spices in delicate sachets? It's often made during Qingming Festival to prevent illnesses.
Right. Well, Julian, bugs won't kiss me, but bees will probably bite. Also, I heard that the elegant fragrance tonifies our body and prepares us for the heat of the summer.
It goes with the philosophies of traditional Chinese medicine, which is about balancing our system and bringing it in harmony with the environment.
So what should we consume now then? Peach or cherry blossoms, perhaps?
Well, now you're not worried about the bees? Well, it could be as simple and mundane as your everyday spice. Let's find out.
With so many healthy diet theories flying around, it can be hard to know what is actually good for our bodies. Here's a completely different one that's been established for thousands of years. This wall is full of ingredients that we use every day in the kitchen. Rose, and the cinnamon, I think I saw somewhere, cinnamon, and the almonds. Can you tell me more about these ingredients in the traditional Chinese theory, Dr. Wang?
This wall is called the homology of food and medicine because a lot of food can be used as medicine. For example, see, ginger. We cook with ginger every day. When people catch a cold, we make ginger soup. You can also add some brown sugar for better taste and for like blood stasis. Based on our 5 elements theory, black, it tonifies the kidney. If people always eat black sesame, the hairs can be black.
Oh, how?
In traditional Chinese medicine, experts say you should eat according to your body constitution. current health conditions, and current season. Finding a balance between these can help achieve wellness.
Wow, so many ingredients. So, Dr. Wang, why are we having all those ingredients for the springtime food recipe?
The cuisine we recommend for today is prepared mainly based on two major principles for wellness cultivation in spring. The primary one is to cultivate the yang qi in the body. And the second is that we should eat less sour food, but more sweet food.
So now we are going to do our first dish.
Our ingredients will be potato and pea sprouts.
Okay.
Plants like the sprouts, see, it grows in spring. So it helps the qi, the yang qi in our body, from the state of storage in winter, change it into the state of growth in spring.
It's really refreshing.
Porridge is very easy to digest. For spinach, it nurtures liver blood, and also it helps the free coursing of qi. In Chinese medicine, we emphasize with humanities, man is corresponding to the nature. So in different seasons, we have different choices. That's the basic principle for medicinal diet. Chinese yam goes into three organs or channels: spleen, kidney, and the lung. So red stuff always tonify the people's blood. If we know how to cook with some food with medicinal function, that will be better. And voila.
Oh, interesting. I am gonna try it. Yeah, it makes me happy. Wow.
The food itself is, can be all the medicine that you need, which means food is medicine, medicine's food.
That's right.
This is very interesting concept. Can you elaborate on that?
Chinese medicine in Huangdi Neijing says there's 4 different seasons. Human life physiology is different. We respond different. So this is some Chinese medicine principle to tell you so. In modern time, you can follow this wisdom, rebalance the abnormality to normality. So I think there's a lot of things younger generation can find their own treasure from this treasure house of Chinese medicine. So they can use this wisdom for their own career, for their own health, for their life.
There's a reason for the saying, you are what you eat. Food can help our bodies heal, as well as help us maintain wellness and prevent disease. It's a food journey worth exploring. Carolyn Gu, CGTN, Beijing.
Food as medicine, great
Yes.
wisdom. And that's all the time we have for this edition of The Vibe. I'm Julian Wagen.
And I'm Louisa Lee. Thanks for joining us on this special day.
Have a bright and clear Qingming Festival.
We'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye,
for
for
now.
now.
This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
Hello and welcome to China Global Television Network. This is The World Today. I'm Mahia Mutwa in Nairobi. Here now are your top stories. Ukraine and Russia trade accusations over claims of mass killings near Kyiv. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban claims election victory for a fourth term in office.